Hello, friends. Martha Creek here. It's absolutely wonderful. The topic today is one of my favorite words on the entire planet. It's gratitude. Gratitude. So in a time of not just Thanksgiving, but thanks living. So I'd like to start with that. Like, what would that even do in your life today if we move from this notion of giving thanks, and not eliminating that? Absolutely giving thanks, living thanks, speaking thanks, offering thanks, conferring thanks, and thanks living. Thanks living. Thanks living, like every day, every moment. So this could look very even awkward for some of us. Like, oh my gosh, I turned the faucet and water came out. And then it was hot water. Another one made it hot water. Another one made it cold water. Then it's like, oh my gosh, I got a toothbrush. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've got teeth. Oh, look, I've got toothpaste. Ooh, look, it tastes good. Oh my goodness. And look, if I have a little trouble with my teeth, I have a dentist to go to. Oh my God, thanks living, thanks living. And then it's like I have 60 some years of living and very little trouble with these. I'm like, wow, thanks living. Like, oh, the perspective, a different perspective. So Abraham Hicks speaks about in terms of rampages of gratitude, or rampage of gratitude. So I just had one. Did you notice it? Like just for a few seconds, even less than a minute. So it may go on a whole minute. Like that, oh my gosh, I'm grateful I get to bring empowered teachings to the whole of the world. I get to be in a profession, a vocation, a ministry that is my advocation, that I get to do what I love to do, that I get to serve those who serve. I get to serve those who are making a difference in the world. That's absolutely ensuring that things are left here better than when they came. I get to be a part of that. So I'm grateful for how I get to serve, with whom I get to serve, where I get to serve, when I get to serve, how I get to serve. I'm grateful that I get invited places. I'm grateful for this technology that records this. I'm grateful for YouTube and for the staff there that makes it possible to get this up in perpetuity, that people can go and watch this on demand on a click. They can see it, that it can reach around the globe without us doing anything else besides getting it posted on these channels. So another rampage of gratitude. So give it a go. Give it a go. See what having your own little gratitude rampage might do for your vitality or your vigor, your attitude, your perspective, your heart, even your mind, your disposition. Give it a go to see what might be happening. And as we pray a prayer of gratitude, I certainly can be grateful in any situation for something. So even when things are in loss, not going my way, when I feel out of control or overwhelmed, to say a prayer of gratitude, maybe for what I've had up to now, that I've lived. One of my closest friends got a heart condition. She had worked so hard her life. She's a nurse, to make sure she ate healthy. She exercised every day. The formula, everything you're supposed to do to ensure that this wouldn't happen. And then the day came around age 60 for her where she had a heart condition. And she required medicine for a while and then required a repair to the heart. And it was a bitter, bitter pill for her. And she speaks today that I was able to help her during that time by offering some perspective. And what it was that she had lived this much of her life without any trouble like that. She really hadn't had to see doctors. She hadn't had to have pills or medicine or anything. So for nearly 60 years of that, hardly anything, like not even a blip. So now it's here and it's her turn. But she said just backing up from that and gaining some perspective about how much life she had had without the inconveniences, without the trouble, without the disease, that just keeping that perspective left her grateful again. It returned to her sense of gratitude. So instead, what the mind generally operates on is I'll be grateful when. I'll be grateful when so and so happens. I'll be grateful when I get so and so. I'll be grateful when the children get to school. I'll be grateful when the children do well in school so I can keep up my persona and my reputation as a good or all right parent. I'll be grateful when I get the promotion. I'll be grateful when I get a raise. I'll be grateful when I feel more safe and secure in the world or in my job or in my marriage or in my relationships and so forth. Instead of then practicing and living gratitude for what I have, what I already have, what I've already been entrusted with, what I've already received, what I've already had a chance to facilitate. So I said it years ago like this, it's coming back in this morning with the more I'm grateful for what I have, the more I have to be grateful for. The more I'm grateful for what I have, the more I have to be grateful for. And I can add this morning, the more I'm grateful for what I had, the more I have, more gratitude I have to include what I have and what I have had, both and. So this is an entirely different concept, an entirely different relationship to gratitude, to Thanksgiving and ThanksLiving. And it's one that can give us a much more expansive life, a much more creative, innovative, resilient, grit-filled, determined, bolstered up, empowered life. And I was reading in the preparation for this some words from Eric Butterworth. So many of you have read his books. You've been in Unity a long time. And from this was from a sermon, actually, from 1975 or something, so decades ago. And he says, it's interesting that the whole idea of Thanksgiving and gratitude is primarily based on an exterior orientation toward life. Generally, the basis for gratitude is based on something external, an external reference, other referenced, what I need and may get reference, an external orientation toward life. So then we're likely going to be happier, fulfilled, and grateful when certain things in our lives happen, when they kind of go in the order we want them to go in, a short answer is when I get what I want, that we find it much easier to give thanks for that. However, in our unity principle tradition and practices and encouragement, it suggests that we must practice and learn to be grateful as a practice, as a daily practice. This very practice can move us out of focusing on our mistakes or ruminating or pitifulness or despair or depressions, and that we can be simply grateful to have a relationship with God, to have a way to connect and atone and align with that through prayer or meditation or reflection. And that over time that we develop this as an attitude. So we live and become an attitude of gratitude. So it doesn't mean that I won't have pain or sorrow or frustrations or losses. That's included in our human learning processes. But with a gratitude muscle built, I'm not going to be in the loss without some gratitude, or in the pain of the loss and grateful that I had that particular mother, or in the loss of that and grateful that I had the love of that particular person. So loss and gratitude, the both and. And to continue to grow ourselves up out of this notion that I'll be grateful when something happens, and to not be bound in that, to snap us out of that in some sort. And that I want a whole new insight into this. I want a new idea about what it means. So the word gratitude itself means greatness, like an attitude of greatness. So it could be grateful, great, G-R-A-T-E, full, grateful, grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your presence here. I'm grateful for what you do in the world, which is true. I'm grateful for my beliefs about you. I'm grateful for my relationship with you as you listen to this. I'm grateful for an opportunity to connect with this. And then great, G-R-E-A-T, grateful, thankful, grateful, grateful, thankful. So this deals, in other words, with something within us, not an exterior focus, but an interior realization, an interior inventory. What is it that I can be grateful for? What is it I can give thanks for? Now, this is wanting us to count all the ways we didn't get what we want, what we lost, what didn't go well, what went wrong, what they got that I didn't get. All this comparing. Compare equals despair versus no, I've got to get in here and see, what do I have now to give thanks for? What can I find right now to give thanks for? What have I had already that I can give thanks for? And what can I be grateful for? So, and start wherever you can. It could be like this morning, it came right in that I get to do what I love. And I've had jobs that I didn't love. I took a job when I was a young teenage girl at a sewing factory, and I did not love that job. It was hard. I remember coming home exhausted at the end of the day, just coming in off those long work days and going to bed because I didn't have any energy to do something else. And I wondered back then, just so you know, I was a teenage girl, probably 14 or 15. And I wondered how those old people did it, how they could sit there and sew and sew and sew and work out like they did. And I got some humility from that, I tell you. I also, though, I didn't love the job. I loved what the job got me because I wanted to buy my own car. Now, I couldn't drive legally till I was 16, and I wanted the money by the time I got 16 to buy a car. So I took a job working full time in a factory because I could make more money there than the jobs that I had, which was cleaning house and babysitting. And I worked at school in the office there. So I've been at work all of my life, and I've been at work for others out of the house since I was 12. So I found a job that I could get more money short up quicker to buy that car. So just remembering my why gave me something to be grateful for. So I didn't love the job, but I loved what I could get as a result of having that job. And I love today, like I've have a newsletter. Some of you are on that list. You get it at the first of the month. If you don't, you're welcome to it. It's free. You go over to marthacreek.com and just down toward the bottom and click subscribe, put your email in there. And sometimes I think I've been writing that for 15 or so years, and I really didn't have a plan to write that. I mean, there's so many newsletters in the world. I mean, I delete about 20 emails, 20 newsletters out of my inbox every single week, sometimes more. And I cannot believe that I was going to write a newsletter, but it was a spiritual mandate for me to write it. Like I had spiritual guidance to write it. And I was so resistant to it. I just wasn't going to do it. And it would not leave me. It's just like, I had to do it. I had to do it. So then I thought, I'm just going to do it for a few months because then I'll prove to the world, to God, that it's not really all that popular. And instead, it went from 100 subscribers to 300 to about 1,000 in just a few months. And now the years later, I'm still at it. And every year I think, I don't think I'm going to do that newsletter anymore. And I'll start to lean toward not doing the newsletter. And then I'll get this beautiful email or a call from somebody. And one of the last ones said, Reverend Martha, I want you to know that your name is on our family calendar on the first day of every month because we look so forward to getting that newsletter. Then another woman up in Canada, who I've only met once at one of those Unity Canadian conferences, said, our family has all of those newsletters that you have printed out and in a file, and we bring them to our table and have a lesson off of that newsletter. So I keep writing the newsletter because if you remember, my mission is to serve those who are serving and to get empowered teachings to the whole of the world. So thankfulness that it reached someone, thankful that after just writing a little page of something, that it can go out to several thousand people with a push of a button. And that the ones that want it, open it and read it and learn something from it and get inspired by it. So thankful, thankful, thankful. So then this is from an inner state of mind. So I'm not dependent on someone reading that. I'm not dependent on them loving it. I'm not dependent on them liking it because I'm in touch with my why that I write the newsletter to begin with. And then that inner sense of gratitude is never missing. I don't have to look at in any external orientation to find something to be grateful for. So this thankfulness, this gratitude deals purely with an inner state of mind that I'm talking about today. And then an inner flow then from this attitude of gratitude that becomes a consciousness of gratitude, a disposition of gratitude, whatever you would call it. And as I continue to ask, what can I be grateful for? What will I be grateful for? What do I have to be grateful for? And start wherever you can. You know, with I had eyesight, I have running water, I have connection. Somebody called me today. I know how to pray. I've got Silent Unity to call for prayer. Start where you can. And we don't have to have anything specific. It doesn't have to be what others are grateful for, but from a flow of gratitude, from a energy of gratitude, a lived out kind of gratitude. And then as our lives are enlivened, our lives are uplifted by this gratitude, then there's more and more and more where there's a greater ease in doing this. And I did this in church a few years ago and encouraged people for 90 days to make a gratitude list. Now, this is old. This is an old practice. Just most of us don't do it and have never really done it. We kind of talk about it without doing it, but to write a gratitude list, 3 things a day on a gratitude list, and to do it for 90 days and not to repeat anything. So maybe give it a go. This particular woman who I love very much, she's passed in sin and she's still very, very close to me. I still love how my heart feels when I think about her. She would bring her list in to show it to me. She would bring her list in to show me that she was writing and how proud she was. And she would talk about how it had worked for her, how that had shifted her disposition and it has shifted her attitude. And that how easy it was after a few days that 3 more things came just like that she didn't have to look for something. Like it was more like, oh my God, am I going to write 3 or 30? I've got such a big list here. And I remember distinctly that she had on her list a broom. She was grateful for having a broom. And I remember thinking, me too. Boy, the efficiency of a broom and how much I'd used one as a kid to attempt to keep that house clean that I grew up in with so many of us there. So be surprised at what you may get fun to give gratitude for, gratefulness for. So this act then of gratitude, thanksgiving, and ThanksLiving is a response and a creative response. So if you want a different experience, do something different. Find a way to do this. So then we know to pray this way. We pray in words of praise. We pray affirmatively. We pray in words of appreciation. We pray as we bless things. We confer our blessings out to opportunities, to people. And then that also cultivates a consciousness of oneness, a consciousness of understanding that what I do to myself, I do to others. What I do for myself, I do for others. So that inspires me. And at times when I didn't really have enough self to do something for myself, I had too much heart not to do it for others. So do it for myself, do it for others, do it for others. I'm doing it for myself. So it's certainly a win-win from my life and my perspective, I can tell you that. So the faith traditions have all told us this. Every single one of them, every sage and seer, the only word you ever say is thank you, it's enough. Paul said in the writings in Corinthians that in all things, give thanks. And it doesn't mean that I've got to walk around giving thanks for asinine behavior or suffering, or things that frighten me, unemployment. And eventually I can say, I can give thanks that I had unemployment. It was scary. It also put me on a path that I had to be on. And I had unemployment and I had unemployment payments. I got paid during unemployment, for example. So something in there. So begin again, friends, with a gratitude sense, a sense of gratitude, and in your thoughts, in your meditations, in your prayers, to find that gratitude, to lead with that gratitude, that thanksgiving and that ThanksLiving. And in the process, you're going to have a broader perspective, a broader perception, and an absolute inherent, innate flow of gratitude, of good that is within all things, never missing. And I believe, and it's true for me, I find it easier and easier to give thanks and to literally count the blessings. I'm counting you as a blessing, and I'm conferring my blessings to you. Blessed be. I'll see you soon. MarthaCreek.com to contact me.
MarthaCreek.com if I can support you. Blessings.